Hello, welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast episode number 367. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Monday with Mello, and today we're talking about it takes 10 years. Now, I know you're probably thinking it takes 10 years for what? But let's get into this one. This is going to be a really good one. Now, I'm sorry to tell you this, but what you do for the rest of your life is going to take a good 10 years to build a solid foundation and a solid grounding. Now, you might get going early on, but to have something that's going to have longevity, it's going to take a good 10 years. Especially if it's something you love and want to do every single day you wake up. You're going to have to hone your craft, be dedicated to it, and know that the results will show when the time is right. Now, this is not the first time I've, been talking about it. It's something that I've learned through watching entrepreneurs and seeing what they do and, motivational speakers, all that stuff, right? So when you see people doing great in their specific field, they put in a lot of work and dedication to get to where they are. That's why they become well-known, trusted, and people want to work with or do business with them. It's building a solid reputation in your specialty and specific field. 10 years sounds like a long time, but with the way time moves, at this point, it will come and go, to be brutally honest. And I'm in year 8 of writing my books, and a lot of it has been a blur because of how much I've worked and how much time I've put into being a great writer. And we all have special gifts and talents. It's a matter of figuring out what they are and exploring those things. Building and establishing the foundation is what it's all about in the game of longevity and legacy. Isn't that what the focus is and should be about? Even if, let's just say, you want to reach the top of corporate America, right? Let's say you want to be a director, or you want to be the head of operations, or you want to get to a CFO position, a COO position. It's going to take a long time. And if you're with one specific company, it may take 10 years, right? Now, in today's world, it's a rarity that people, are staying with companies 10 years or longer, but I do know a lot of people that have stayed with companies for longer than 10 years. Some have made it 15 years, 16 years, and have gotten to the top of positions at those specific companies, right? So even if you are using corporate America as, an example, I would say, yeah, it takes a good 10 years to really establish yourself and really become comfortable. Now, you may start in a specific area, and feel whatever, you're with a company and you work for that one company for 3 years. And then you may move to another company and do 2 years. And then you may move to another company and do another 3 years. So, and then by the time you hit year 10, you're at a company where you're established, you feel good about yourself, and you're in a good position where you want to be, you love what you do, you're financially stable, you have a work-life balance, and you have everything that you could need and want and are looking for in a career, right? But the question is are you willing to put in 10 years of hard work, consistency, discipline, and dedication to get to where you want to be? Are you ready and willing to sacrifice a few aspects of your life to have the life that you want? Are you willing to quiet the noise pollution in your head and in the world and buckle down and become the best version of yourself, right? Now, let's just say you do want to own your own company, right? But you work in corporate America, you gain all of the experience that you need, and let's just say you do 8 to 10 years of that, then you become the person that you want to be and you run your own show. There's so many analogies and examples that you can use in this instance, right? And in this situation. And I will say that through my experiences, even doing this podcast, I always work on being better and continuing to be better and turning simple blogs into talking points in my podcast. And that's what it's about for me. And these are, there are a lot of questions that you have to ask yourself. And the honest thing is only you can answer them. And I only hope that your answers are yes to the questions that I just asked, right? Are you willing to put the 10 years in of hard work, consistency, discipline, and dedication to get to where you want to be? Are you ready, willing, and able to sacrifice a few aspects of your life to have the life that you want? So sometimes you may have to sacrifice hanging out with friends. And sometimes you may have to sacrifice going to a family event that may not be that important. Now, I'm not saying miss weddings. I'm not saying miss baby showers, because those are really big events, right? But like, let's say a birthday or whatever, and you can't make it, you gotta work, but you want to make it up to that friend or that family member another day or something like that. That's a little bit different. But yeah, it's that. And then, are you willing to really quiet the noise pollution in your head with the world and become the best version of yourself? And what I mean by that is the noise pollution is basically all of the people that are around you and all of the surroundings and all of the bad distractions and all the people that are talking negatively to you, about you, complaining about their lives, and all of the things that you will take on and try to help other people, but then you're losing yourself in the process of trying to get to where you want to be. 10 years seems like, oh my goodness, like you get out of college and you're like 22 and you're like, oh goodness, I gotta go through this whole journey to really get to the top of corporate America. Oh my goodness. Believe me when I tell you, the years will fly by. Honestly, a lot of my 20s I don't remember. And it's because the years moved by so fast. Most of my 30s I do remember. And now I'm in my 40s and I'm looking back and reflecting on the 10 years that, I put in, into corporate America from like when I was 22 to 32. And then now I'm going through the next 10-year process of like 32 to nearly 42. I'll be 42 early next year. And it's night and day, I tell you that. I've worked for some big companies and, companies that are well known around the world. I'm not going to sit here and delve into where I've worked at, but I will say that I've learned a lot from every job that I've had, right? And writing is my passion. Writing is what I want to make a career out of. It's just not the place for me to do it quite yet, where I can branch off and just do that and focus on that. So it's why I want to do other things and do this podcasting space and, maybe do some guest speaking. I do book festivals, when I can, and branch out and meet people and, build connections. And, like I said, it's whether you're willing to become the best version of yourself. The best version of yourself is not you're the happiest all the time and all of that stuff. No, that's not reality. The best version of yourself is understanding and knowing who you are when you're around people and when you're by yourself. It's taking the time to think about what makes you happy, what brings you joy, and doing that on an everyday basis, right? So the outside extracurricular things that bring you joy and happiness, working out, listening to music, watching documentaries, reading books, being around good people, having game nights, whatever it is, right? That's your extracurricular stuff. What brings you happiness and joy in the 10 years that you're working to become at the top of your specialty in your field, engineering, medical field, business, writing, podcasting, whatever it is, it's finding your niche, finding what is going to work for you. I've heard people say, go do what's a necessity in the world. I think I forget who said it, but I've heard like business people and entrepreneurs say that. And I feel like that's probably one of the worst pieces of advice that you can be given. It's doing what you love and doing what you're passionate for, right? Even if, the world's changing, the economy changes, the job market changes, that is what life is about. So you just have to adjust accordingly. So for me, yeah, this writing space has become convoluted and oversaturated in so many ways. And there's so many books being published on an everyday basis. And there's so much to be, doing in order to get noticed on social media. And sometimes I don't really care to get caught up in all of that stuff. And the reason why is because when I was a kid, honestly, authors didn't have social media to get noticed, right? I forget the author's name who wrote that book series, Goosebumps. I used to read those books when I was a kid. Those who know. If you are a 70s and 80s baby, that means you are in your 40s and in your 50s. The Goosebumps books, if you can remember the author's name, trust me, you'll know who I'm talking about, right? Think about how popular that author became, and that author didn't have social media. So that's how I look at it. I'm not going to sit and immerse myself on all this social media stuff and paying ads and this and that. I'm just like, look, I do the work. I've done what I needed to do, and not to be cocky or conceited, but honestly, if you go on Google, you go on Bing, you go on Yahoo, you go on DuckDuckGo, you go on Vivaldi, any of those wonderful search engines that you use, you can type in Jamel Crothers, and I promise you, you are going to see my website. And that's all it needs to be at this point for me. It's getting Google to say, all right, like you type in his name, you're going to find his books. You type in his name, you're going to find his podcast. And that's what it's about for me. That's it. I don't care to be popular on social media. I think I have like 220 followers on Instagram and a couple of hundred on TikTok. And I got like 50 subscribers on YouTube. I don't drive myself crazy anymore with that. I'm over it. I'm at a place where I just feel like the podcast is important, and giving you great content and writing great blogs and writing good books. That's about it for me. Every once in a while, I'll jump in and have fun and create a video that'll get you to think a little bit. But other than that, focus on the 10 years that's going to make you happy. I don't care how old you are. I don't care where you are in your life. You could be in your 50s. The next 10 years of your life can be the most golden years of your life. If you decide to change your career focus, you decide to change what you want to do, you're seeing the world for what it is, and you realize that there's something more important in your purpose in life, go for it, do it. You have time. Don't feel like you don't. And with that said, that's my podcast for today. I thank you for listening. As always, the podcast website, theaquarianmindpodcast.com. You can find all of my episodes there. And with that said, have a good week, be good, and go accomplish your goals.